Hello there and welcome to self-isolation due to COVID-19. And I'm sure all of you are like me and you are spending all of this time social distancing from each other. However, as teachers, that might prove to be difficult, especially if it comes a time where we're required to use digital tools. Now, this is going to be something completely foreign to many of us because we're used to teaching in front of our classrooms and having a space in which our students are there with us. And the prospect of looking at education from a digital instruction type of perspective is going to be a little bit different. So I wanted to give you a heads up and maybe an introduction to some of the digital tools that I'm familiar with that if in the event that we are going to have to do distance digital learning with our students, here are some of the tools that I'm going to utilize to work with my students. Now, for any of these digital tools, there is going to be an amount of hardware or software that you're going to need to require in order to use it. The first is going to be you're going to need a camera. Now, a camera can be anything from a webcam to the camera that's supplied into your MacBook or your laptop, as well as your phone, a tablet, or an iPad. All of the cameras that are contained within those devices are going to be able to be used for video for virtual learning. Alternatively, you might need a space in which you can write things down or that you can record the things that you're trying to demonstrate for your students. Something like a large piece of Bristol board, a clipboard with a white paper on it, or even the white surface on your iPad will service as an ability for you to be able to show your students what you mean while you are instructing them. Now, the first digital tool that I want to talk to you about is Google Classroom. Now, this is something that I regularly use already in my classroom, so it makes it easy for me to transition to using this in a digital learning environment where we are required to teach virtually from a distance. So let me show you how I use Google Classroom and how I plan on using this if we are required to do distance learning. Okay, so let's get started with Google Classroom. So this is actually what my Google Classroom looks like for my room. Now, for this purpose, I'm just going to show you how to set up a class and use my demo class here as a tutorial. So to start, you will log into Google Classroom. Once you're logged in, it'll probably look blank. You're going to click the plus sign over here and click Create Class. Once you've clicked there, you're going to enter in the information into the form fields and click Create. Once you have your class set up, you're going to click on your class, and there are 4 things at the top of your page that you're going to have to use and get familiar with. The first is the stream. Now, the stream is just a chronological running record of all of the things that are happening in your classroom. The second is your classwork tab. This is where you're going to assign students different tasks. Your third will be a list of all of the students in your room, in your classroom. And then the fourth is going to be a grades, which because I have no students, you can't exactly see what those grades look like. Now, when it comes to classwork, this is the tab that you're going to be spending most of your time in. To create an assignment, you're going to click Create and click Assignment. Now, before you get started, it might be helpful to organize your classroom into topics. So think of these as you're going to want one classroom per subject. And once you have a classroom, you're going to want to break that subject into subtopics. So if you're doing literacy, you might have subtopics of reading, writing, or oral language. You can create topics so that it will organize your classroom stream. Now you can see that I've set up different subtopics. From here, I can go ahead and begin to create my assignment. So again, I go up to the Create button and click it, and I'm going to create an assignment. So a new window is going to open, and you're going to complete the information here in title, as well as write out your written instructions. Now these 2 buttons here are, one, if you want to add something such as an attachment, a link to a YouTube video or a training video that you've created, or you want to link them to something on the web, you can add a link or a file or YouTube. If you've created something already on your Google Drive and you want students to have access to that, you're going to click the Google Drive, and then that will open up your own Google Drive and you can select any of the files that are contained in there and attach it for students. Your other option is if you haven't created anything, but perhaps you want to create a template for students to use, you can click Create, and Create will generate a file that you can modify for your students. Let's, for this purposes, click Google Drive and add something from my Google Drive into this for my students. So perhaps I would like to add my spelling rule journal to this assignment. So I will click this document here and click Add. Now it's been added for this assignment. Now for this assignment, I want students to complete a spelling rule journal, and I'm going to attach different videos that they can watch, and then they're going to complete this journal entry. Now I want to make sure that each one of my students has their own copy of this. Instead of me creating one copy that they can view, I want each one of them to have their own copy. So I'm going to click this part here and make a copy for each student. This ensures that as soon as I assign this, every student in my classroom will get their own copy of this automatically put into their drive. Once you have completed this portion, it's time to go on to this toolbar over here. You want to make sure that the classroom is correct, that you have assigned this specifically to all of your students. Now you do have the option to select some of your students. If you are looking for assigning a modified expectation or lesson assignment, then you will select just the students that that's assigned to. I always leave my points out of 100 so that I can use letter grading to help my students understand their mark. If I have a due date that this is due, I can change it here. And I also want to make sure that I can assign this as a topic. So this is grammar, so I will assign it to the grammar topic. Now, if I want to create a rubric, Google Classroom also allows me to do that too. If I want to make sure that originality, where students are not going to plagiarize, is going to be an issue, I would click this button here so that they can make sure that anything submitted to me is automatically checked for plagiarism when I mark it. Once that's all done, I simply choose to assign this task to my students, and it gets assigned to them and they automatically get that. Then it goes back to my classwork tab, and you can see that it's already here posted underneath the grammar lesson. And another lesson of Tell Me About Your First Week at Home is posted underneath the general topic. Now, the second tool that you can use is going to be Zoom Learning. Now, right now, Zoom has a free trial for educators so that we can use Zoom in order to be able to instruct our students from a distance learning or through online tools. Zoom Learning is a great way for you to be able to have live classes where students can log in and join a Zoom meeting, and Zoom will be able to show different students on their screen. This is one way for you to be able to interact with students live, and you can have the ability to share each other's screens or show somebody what it is that you're doing. It's a great way if you plan on having classroom discussions or you want to have an opportunity for you to do a live demonstration of a lesson that you're trying to teach. So let me walk you through how you could use Zoom video to conduct an online live class.
So in order to use Zoom meeting, the first thing you're going to go to is you're going to Google Zoom. And the web address that you're going to be looking for is zoom.us. Once you're there, you're going to sign up for a new account and enter your information. They're going to send you an email confirmation. And once you click on the link within the email, you have an account and you're ready to go. Follow the setup instructions. And then once you have an account ready, your account will look like this. Now, you'll see your profile and you're going to click on meetings. Now, when you have meetings, you're going to schedule a new meeting. Now, when you do this, the free basic plan does limit you initially on how many people are allowed to participate in your video. What you need to do is you need to get your school district to approve Zoom meeting, which if they're going to initiate a distance learning is something they may consider doing this. And if your district has already been approved as the email that can be used, then you'll automatically get upgraded for this account. So if you're using Zoom, now you can use this as well if you are doing, say, one-on-one meetings or you want to meet with co-teachers. You can still have a meeting with one or two people. You can also just have a meeting with yourself and record the video. So you're going to go ahead and click Schedule Meeting, enter all of the information that you see here that you require. Does the meeting require a password? Probably not in your best bet, especially if you're dealing with younger kids and you want them to be able to participate both through either telephone or computer audio, which is an added benefit that they could listen in on their phone in case they don't have access to, say, the internet. And you want them also to enable to join before the host so they can go into the meeting and wait for you. So they can be there early and they can wait for you. And you do want to mute your students on entry so they don't just all start talking. So as the person who's running the meeting, you do have control over what that looks like. And you want them to have a waiting room. You also are going to want to record the meeting automatically on your computer so that you have a record of you doing it. So once you have added all of the information here and you're going to go for, let's go 30, well, let's do 30 minutes instead of 1 hour. 30 minutes, and you'll click save. You then will be able to have the link for your students to follow, and you can paste that link in your Google Classroom or however you're sharing it to students. So you can copy this meeting invitation and then email that out to your students or to parents so that they know that they can sign up for that period of time. So once you have that done, you can then, when it's time to go live, you can go ahead and start your meeting. Now it will prompt you to download Zoom on whatever device that you have. And this is what a meeting will look like. So if you want to show your video, you can click on video. And you'll see that I have 2 cameras here. So my laptop camera, I can talk directly to that. Or I also have the camera that I'm talking to you here. So you can see that my camera is going. I have 1 participant. I can see them. I can have a chat on the side so that students can ask questions. And it also allows me to stop. I can share my screen, invite others, or have other pieces of audio collected. So again, if you want the invitation, you can simply just copy the URL and let them to join you.
Another tool that you can use is Screencast-o-matic. And Screencast-o-matic essentially creates a screencast of everything that's on your screen. And this will allow you an ability to show students how to do something. So if you're training them on how you want them to fill a worksheet out, or you're showing them exactly what you want them to do in an instructional video, say, how do I log into Google Classroom? How do I get my assignments? Then you can use Screencast-o-matic. One of the features of Screencast-o-matic that I really like is the fact that you can view just your screen only, and a voice recording of your voice will play over top of that. You can choose to have just the webcam, so you can do a pre-recorded video of just you face to camera. Third, you can also have a combination of both, where you have the screen share and you have your face talking to them at the same time. So let me walk you through how you could do Screencast-o-matic.
The last tool that I want to talk about is Screencast-o-matic. In fact, all of these little tutorials were all filmed using Screencast-o-matic. And it's really easy to get started. All you need to do is click this button here that says Free Launch Recorder, follow the steps, and then you are ready to be able to record the screen. Now, one of the things I really like about Screencast Recorder is it's not actually taking up my whole desktop. I can minimize the window on my desktop so that it is on a smaller scale, so I still have access to the other pieces of my desktop, and then I can just record within the box that they give me. So they have a little box, and I select the box of what part of my screen I want to be recorded, and wherever that box is, that is the part of the screen that is recorded, which is really easy. And as you can see with any of these tutorials, it's been pretty easy for me to be able to walk you through exactly what's on my screen. And you can do that too with your students if you're trying to show them exactly what you want to do, especially if they're using tools that they may be unfamiliar with.
Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how do you actually get your materials in a way that's accessible for students when they're learning digitally. So I will use Google Drive, Google Docs, and Google Slides for this purpose. When you have a document in a PDF, you can use a web service that allows you to convert those PDFs into images. Once those are in images, you can then upload those images as backgrounds on a Google slide. Once they're on a Google slide, students can interact with them just like paper, typing in their answers into any of the locations that you want them to. So let me show you how to walk through converting a PDF into a Google Slide digital ready student page. So the first thing you're going to do when you have a PDF that you want to convert the PDF to digital is you're going to go to this website called smallpdf.com. There you're going to be able to click this box here that says PDF to JPEG. JPEG is a type of image file. The first step to converting your PDF to a digital file is to use PDF to JPEG. Now, these are particularly with PDFs where you want students to be able to enter the information into, say, a worksheet digitally. So once you have your convert PDF to JPEG, you're going to choose the file that you would like to convert to JPEG. Today, I'm going to be converting my grade 5 student workbook, which is a PDF. So I'm going to find that in my Dropbox and click that file and select choose. If for some reason the PDF that you wanted to choose is too big and you are limited in being able to convert that to an image file, you can also use small PDF, compress PDF option, and allow you to compress that PDF to below 25 megabytes. Once you've selected your file, it will begin uploading and converting all of the pages that you have, extracting them as a single image. There is no need to pay for the pro version. Using the free version for converting to JPEG works just fine. Once it's done, you'll see that you have all of the images from your PDF file are now separate pages. You can download these separately, or you can download the whole zip. Now you'll see on my computer that all of the images from my workbook are now there ready to go as separate images. That is the first step in order to convert these as a digital tool. The next step is to open your Google Drive. So you're going to create a new slides. So you want to open a Google slide that's brand new. Once here, you'll notice that the page is really wide. We need to change the size of this slide so that it matches a regularly printed page. You're going to select Page Setup in the File menu. And from here, the drop-down menu, select Custom, and then change the size of your page to 8.5 by 11. And click Apply. This will automatically change the size of your page. Now, you're going to delete the boxes that are on there, and then you're going to select Background. You want to take the images from your PDF that you just created and apply those into the background of your new Google slide. So you're going to select Choose Image, and if you have your image folder selected in another window, you can simply take the very first page that you want and you're going to just drag it in here, and you're going to have to do this one page at a time. And click Done. You'll see that the very first page is an image. Now, students can't move this around, so they can't change any of the elements. It's a background on the page. Now, if I want students to create another page, I will again select Blank Page and click Background and follow the same process. Choosing an image here. If I want to do an image where students have to enter information, I will select this image here, drop it into the window, and click Done. Once I have this page here, students can't actually do anything with the background, but I do want them to be able to write in those boxes. So I'm going to create a box for them. And I do like to provide an outline for that box of 1 point so that they know it's there. And then I will enter in type text here. Now I can take this box, and because there's other places, I can duplicate this and put it in each one of these sections. And now I have a typical worksheet that I would be printing for students, and now I have a digital version of this where students can't change the background, but they can type their text here. When you go up to the top, you can change your presentation title, and once that is done, you can simply click Share the presentation, get the shareable link, copy the link and share that with students, or you can also simply just attach that if you're using Google Classroom into the assignment that you're giving students. Well, that's all I have for tips on teaching digitally. As we continue to navigate through these uncertain times, please know that I and madlylearning.com are here to support you. For more information, please go to www.madlylearning.com. And please join me next week as I continue to provide additional support for teachers during these times. See you next week for another episode of Teaching with Inquiry.